I'm Ramona, Managing Director of Belvoir Stoke-on-Trent, and I'm here today with Sandra Banks, who is our lettings, lister, and negotiator. Now, we get a lot of investors calling us, asking us questions about Stoke-on-Trent because they want to invest here. And Sandra knows all the answers, so we're going to ask Sandra. So, Sandra, can you tell investors why they should buy in Stoke-on-Trent? Is the rental market good here?
The rental market is excellent at the moment. With Stoke-on-Trent, obviously house prices are a little lower than other areas, so your rental yield is normally a little bit better. So it is a good investment opportunity.
So they tend to ask, what kind of properties should I buy? Should I avoid flats? Should I buy only 3 beds? What's your answer to that?
Obviously, the market is open for any type of rental property. What we do find at the moment is obviously Stoke-on-Trent is predominantly 2-bed terrace properties. Therefore, if you have a property that is 3-bed or above, you tend to get a higher interest in that property. Along with the higher interest is the possibility of obviously a higher rent.
But if people had a budget that only enabled them to buy a flat or a 2-bed, is there a problem renting those out?
No, not at the moment. The rental property at the moment is very good. None of our properties seem to be hanging around for very long. The 1-bed flats do tend to take a little longer to rent out, but they do rent.
So investors, they know that Stoke-on-Trent consists of 6 towns, and they do tend to ask, are there any areas in Stoke that we should avoid? Are there any streets we should avoid?
What I'll say is any property in any area will rent out.
Any town in Stoke?
Any town in Stoke, you will have a rental market. The only thing I will say is obviously it may take a little longer to rent the property out in certain areas than others, but it's very difficult to give a precise postcoded area or you can't. It's very difficult because such a lot is dependent on the area, the size of the house, the quality of the house, whether there's off-road parking. There's so many different factors.
So even a good house in a bad area could still rent out quicker than a bad house in a good area.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Definitely. And presumably the house prices will be lower in the less desirable areas, but it would still match the rent, so the yield will still be good. It all balances out.
Yeah.
Okay. So for landlords who invest here in Stoke, do they just give you the houses to manage entirely, or what can you do for landlords who are investing here?
Well, what we always say is if they do find a property that ticks all their boxes, then by all means they can contact us and we can let them know what sort of rent they can expect to achieve on the property. We can do a rental appraisal once they've actually purchased the property to tell them at the time if we have any recommendations to improve the property, what sort of rent they will accrue at that stage as the property in that stage, and what difference it will make if they do any changes, etc.
So I think also the thing with Stoke, many people worry about, is it just benefits tenants or is it just poor income, will people pay the rent? I think it's quite a genuine worry that people have. So what's your experience of tenants and paying rent?
How long's a piece of string? It's a catch-22 situation. There are no guarantees in renting, unfortunately. That is the nature of lettings. However, it's dependent on how much risk you want to take. If we fully manage the property for you, we do have products, the rent guarantee product, where it basically insures against any rental loss. So it's it is a swings and roundabouts sort of thing, but there are no guarantees, like I said. But we do everything we possibly can by referencing, putting guarantors in place if needed, etc. As far as benefits go, with the current circumstances that we've experienced and have experienced, tenants on benefits are probably a little bit more secure than some of the tenants that are working at the moment. It is, it's still a complete flip, really.
Yes. So, and in many investors, they can't travel up to Stoke-on-Trent because of the restrictions or they're busy, and they often want to buy a house here without viewing. I mean, what advice would you give them there?
I would always say to view the property if at all possible. If you can't do it in person, then get somebody that can do it on your behalf. We could actually do that for a fee. We could actually go and view the property for them themselves. The other advantage at the moment is obviously a lot of properties have virtual tours, which gives you a good idea of the property. However, I don't think there's anything that can replace actually physically seeing it, because you get a better feel of the size and the condition.
So so anybody watching this who is interested in investing in Stoke, I guess the thing to say to them is get in touch with us. You can call Sandra or call myself. If you need help to find a property, we've got some for sale, or they can look elsewhere, but I think drop us a link, I suppose, and tell us what the address is so we can advise on the rental potential or type of tenant. And then at least you will not make a bad decision. And importantly, come up to Stoke-on-Trent. Come up to Stoke to see the houses and see the neighbourhoods. That's really important. And then the condition of the house is more important than which street it's on. So these are the good key takeaways for any investors. So definitely give us a ring here at Belvoir Stoke-on-Trent, Leek and Biddle. We've got 2 offices, and we'll be able to help investors looking to invest. Thank you.